I decided to tear out the passenger seat. That meant bringing out the danger blade. The green man's posted up by the door now, like he owns the place. I've got a snug little hideaway for my toilet, and Charlie's handmade crate guards the side door, allowing no one to enter that isn't supposed to. I'm sculpting tree trunks out of foam, bending branches with pool noodles, and smearing clouds into place with questionable finesse. This isn't just a van build, it's a slow unraveling, a forest waking up in the bones of a machine. This is the underside of my passenger seat, a little tomb of dust and debris from 1998, held in place by just 4 bolts and an impressive ecosystem of grit. I expected more hardware, maybe some resistance, but this van seems to trust me now. Or it's just giving up. Either way, the seat came out easily. But the bolt stumps stayed behind, pretending like they mattered. So I brought out the grinder, the danger blade, as I used to call it. It doesn't feel so dangerous anymore. Loud, sure. A little dramatic. But the more I use it, the more it feels like a conversation. Loud, spark filled, and strangely meditative. I'm learning that even the scariest tools get quieter once you stop flinching. The rain came. Not a storm, not a tantrum, just steady, patient tapping on the metal roof. It's one of my favorite sounds, and also the exact reason I couldn't drag my tools outside. So I sat, listening, waiting for a pause in the sky. You can't outbuild the rain. Some days you just work around her. This was one of those days. Still raining, so I brought the project inside. A salvaged dog fence I rescued from a dumpster. Nothing fancy, just bent metal and stubborn intention. I sat in the van listening to the rain, trying to imagine how to turn this into a crate for Charlie. At first, I thought it would go where the passenger seat was, but I started to feel it didn't belong there. That space had another purpose. Removing the extra panels was easy, just a screwdriver and a little patience, which thankfully I had plenty of. Rain has a way of slowing you down until you actually look at what you've got. Alright, so I'm contemplating something. What if I just build this floor up and put this here, and then I'd have to build this area up level with the floor, and then I could have a countertop on top, and Charlie could go here beside my bed, and I still have the same walk space as I did before. And I don't know, I think I might like that better, because then there's nothing getting in the way here. And I don't know, I think this might work out better. Maybe. We'll see. We will see. I'm surprised I haven't messed him up out here working. He's obviously pretty durable. Something cool I just figured out. Okay, I have 4 pieces on it now. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I have it here, when I open this like this, you know, I have to frame it out, but this will work like a doggy gate, so I can have my door open and the dogs won't get out. So, yeah, that would be pretty awesome. And then I only need to shut this when she needs to be contained for safety. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the placement here. I think that just works out better for all of us. This piece of plywood came from the same place as the dog fence, a dumpster. That's the running theme here. I get all my wood from the dumpster. Sometimes the universe doesn't send you a sign. Sometimes it just chunks a perfectly sized board into your path. It was exactly what I needed, just big enough to cut in half. One piece for the base of the crate and one for the top. A quick pass with the jigsaw and a long pass with the sander. Because this board had character. A little dirt, a little damage. But then again, don't we all? Yes. The wood here is also from the dumpster, I know. At this point, I should probably be thanking the landfill in the credits. Campground people like to rebuild their decks this time of year, and I just quietly collect what they leave behind. It's imperfect wood. It has splinters and screws and all sorts of things, but it works. I used staples to hold the frame in place temporarily, and then I'm going to reinforce it with some zip ties just until I could get it framed up. Okay, I know that's not a good hold. It wasn't pretty, but it held it until I could get everything together. Until it didn't. One zip tie snapped mid pull, and I introduced myself to the pliers with my face. So, this project is in timeout for now. It is not finished. I will return to it when the swelling in my face goes down, emotionally and otherwise. Now let's go over what I got accomplished this week. Woo! Gotta get off it. Hold on, I got a net. Jesus. Okay. All right, we're back. I got an issue with carpenter ants. Look, they're everywhere and they're moving into the vans. I'm gonna have to set off a fogger or something in here. But yeah, all right. Let's try this again. Okay, let's go over what I got accomplished this week. So, well, let's start here. I removed the passenger seat, and I initially was going to have Charlie's crate there, but it wasn't flowing right. For one, that gets in the way, and I don't want to cut off part of my door panel. So I moved her here, okay? And the crate is not finished. I've got to finish framing it up, but it fits her perfectly. And now let's talk about the crate, because in the pictures I shared on my community post, I had some more concerns. All right, so this crate, you can see the door. This is the door, all right? The door opens completely back, so it can be completely hidden. It doesn't have to be closed, all right? And it's not going to be open and in the way. It literally folds flush back. The door is only for emergencies, okay? Charlie is a German Shepherd. She's deemed a bully breed, and she is a guard dog. So there will be times that she will need to be protected, put in here with the door shut for her safety and for others' safety. For example, if I get pulled over, if I need some type of emergency assistance on the side of the road, or if I have company come over and she's just not a fan of the person because I don't know, some people she likes and some people she just doesn't like. Um, I mean, that's just how it is. So she will only be in here with the door shut under extreme situations. And she doesn't need to be able to stretch out, okay? And she's not going to be sleeping in here. She's not going to be spending long periods of time in here. So as long as she can stand up, sit up, turn around, and lay down, it's adequate. It is completely fine for short periods of time. So yeah, she's not going to be living in here with the door shut. The door is for emergencies only. So calm down, don't panic. I'm not locking my dog in this little crate. And I'll pop a picture up here somewhere. She can sit in it. She's quite comfortable. I've got a picture of her sitting in it and a picture of her. She's sitting in it with the door shut, and she's sitting in it with the door open. She's not like clawing her way out of it. She's completely content. So yeah, don't stress out. She's not living in this with the door shut. It is just a safety precaution that I wanted to have available in the van for certain situations. So here you can see the door swings back and the van door will actually shut on it. And when when the door's open, her bed will stretch out and she's got plenty of room to lay here, or she'll be most likely will be on my bed. Let's get started forming the trees. I sliced pool noodles in half lengthwise and taped them to my ceiling. This is not a breakdown. This is how tree branches begin in van builds. You need something, um, I don't know the word. You need something flexible, I guess. So foam is what we're going for here in all shapes and sizes. It doesn't look like much now, but everything starts with a sketch, a shape, a suspicion that, hey, this might actually work. Then came the foam, expanding, chaotic, like whipped cream with a grudge. I sprayed it up the trunks, let it bubble, twist, and harden, and just hoped that it would look like bark and not some kind of fungal event. I learned a hard lesson that spraying spray foam, vertically, it tends to want to fall off. So you kind of have to work in sections. Spray some on there, let it dry, and then spray the rest so that it has something to cling to and not just a slick vertical surface. And when all of this is cured, we're going to take a knife and we're going to shave it down and carve it out to look more like a tree, hopefully. All right, so let's talk about spray foam. I bought a couple different flavors from Walmart. Each brand is just $4.24 per can, and this brand is a no. All right, I bought each one. Um, this one that's up to 1 inch, and this one that goes up to 3 inches. Both of them don't like. Now if you're just using it for gaps and cracks, it would probably be fine, but it doesn't spray very well. A lot of times air comes out without spray foam and it's just really messy. You can't control where the foam is going, and yeah, I didn't like it. But now this one, worth same price, very good quality. I like this one. Okay, it flows out nicely, and yeah. But the up to 1 inch, that's only, if you need little spots. If you're filling in a lot, a big spot, you want to get the 3 inch, of course. But yeah, so if I need any more, I'm definitely going to buy this one, not the other one. Now, let's talk about a concern. Some of you are concerned about me having spray foam in the van. I guess a bunch of spray foam in the van. Um, you were concerned about off gassing and stuff like that. But I've done my research, and spray foam, once it's once it's fully cured, it's not going to off gas anymore as long as you let it cure properly. And my spray foam, I have carved it, so that took the crusty shell off of the exterior, opening up the pores, so that just helped more airflow to get in and for it to cure even better. Okay, because the outer crusty shell, you know what I'm talking about, it can trap gases inside and cause it to be longer to cure. But once it cures, it's inert and it's not going to off gas anymore. And then I got the concern, Well, if you're camping in really hot conditions, it can reactivate the foam. Um, the foam is great. It's not going to react to anything up to like over 240 degrees, okay? Um, at that rate, you might get some smells, but it's not toxic smells, okay? Because once it's properly cured, the toxicity is gone, okay? But also, I'm painting over it and I'm sealing over it. And in some cases, I'm claying over it. So that's just another security, all right? However, you don't want to paint over it or seal over it until it's fully cured. Now, this brand says that you can paint over it within 60 minutes. It cures quickly. However, I've let mine sit for like 48 hours at the very least before I added any paint. And I'm using safe water-based paints. They don't have any smells. And I will use a good sealer over top of it. So I'm pretty safe. I appreciate the concern, but pretty safe. I've done my research and yeah, so no worries about off-gassing. Everyone say hello to Pam. She is my glue gun. She runs hot, emotionally and literally, about 400 plus degrees, give or take a flesh layer. Today, she helped me glue pool noodles to the ceiling, which on paper is a terrible idea. Hot glue melts foam, but I am not working on paper. I'm working in stubborn, gravity defying reality. So I use a fan to quick cool the glue. The foam and glue melt into each other. They fuse like long lost lovers and harden into a bond that honestly might survive the apocalypse. I burned myself several times. I, I said things I'll have to apologize for later. But the noodles stayed up, and so did I. Once the foam on the tree trunks had hardened, I grabbed a knife. Not in anger, just in artistic desperation. The goal was bark, but foam has its own agenda, so I carved down the bubbles. I tried to make them have the texture of bark from all of the chaos, and hoped it would resemble something ancient, not elegant, but alive. Then I painted everything black, because all good stories start in the dark, and also because black covers a multitude of sins. As you can tell, this is not the easiest surface to paint. The cracks and crevices are unimaginable, and you can't use normal spray paint on foam or it will eat your foam away, literally. So I ran to the craft store and I found this paint, spray paint that says it's safe for craft foam. Now, is spray foam considered craft foam? I don't know. So I tested a couple small spots to see if my spray foam started disintegrating, and luckily it did not. So I painted the bulk with a brush, and then I had two of these little spray cans of paint, and I ended up using one complete can per trunk. So if you need spray paint for foam, go to Hobby Lobby and you can get this for $3.99, and it works great on spray foam. I get this foam clay from Hobby Lobby for $2.99, and as I mentioned, you can get it 40% off on certain weeks. This is air dry foam clay. It feels like memory foam, acts kind of like a marshmallow, and once dry, it turns into something soft, springy, and surprisingly strong. I chose this because van life means movement, vibration, flexing, constant motion, and I needed a material that could move with it. Had I used air dry clay or paper mache, it would just crack and fall apart as I drove down the road. So I pressed it straight onto the ceiling. It seemed to stick quite well to the raw plywood. In other areas, I will have to use glue, but I will show you that in a later clip. I wasn't aiming for perfection. Clouds don't ask for symmetry. Every lump and ripple will become a painted peak. It's messy now, but so is the sky if you think about it. Once I started adding clay to the pool noodles, it was clear I'd need a backup: PVA glue, which is Elmer's school glue. The noodles have this strange glossy glaze, like they were sprayed with some anti commitment serum. The clay wouldn't stick without a little persuasion. Same with the slick panel boards. So keep in mind, porous surfaces, no glue needed. Non porous, glue it like you mean it. There's no real science here, just a growing understanding of which surfaces pretend to cooperate and which ones need a little encouragement. You may notice the foam clay changes color from section to section. That's just because I bought every container they had in stock. Color doesn't matter. It's all getting painted eventually, unified by a brush and blind optimism. While the clay is drying, I jump over here to my tree trunk to check the paint to see if I can move on to the next step. And it looks like it is dry. And I was about to start painting and I looked over, and do you see that? Do you see it? Look, that's an accidental face in my phone. I haven't carved that section yet, but I might try to accentuate that face with some paint and leave that part in there. What do you think? Leave me a comment if you can see the face. I'm going to start here with some hazelnut paint. It's a brown color, okay? And I'm just going to add a layer over the entire thing, except for down in the cracks. You want the cracks to stay dark because that is your shadow layer. And it may seem like I know how to paint, but I really don't. I just, I literally take colors that I think belong to a tree and I'm adding it on here until it kind of looks right, okay? So I'm going to add a second layer of this hazelnut because that foam kind of really soaks in the paint, especially since I carved it off. So it's a very porous surface. So this first color, I'm adding 2 to 3 layers. Okay, and I'm just showing you here. Literally just paint it on. You really should let this dry from layer to layer. I get impatient and I don't let it dry long enough. But now I'm going to take this, I believe it's called asphaltum. I don't know, it's like a dark brown, okay? And I'm going to take a small paintbrush and I'm just going to go into every crevice and crack that I can and just slop it in there, okay? Seriously, just slop it in there. It's okay if it comes out onto the flat surfaces, not a big deal. This tree is going to get so many layers of paint colors. You, you can't mess it up really. And here's what that looks like. Nothing really to brag about, but it's all of the layers in the end that really brings it together. Now I'm going to use some bark brown and I'm going to go over everywhere that I painted the hazelnut in the beginning. It might seem, why are you just painting over, painting over, painting over everything you put on? But it really makes a difference. In the end, you're going to see little splashes of every color you put on here, and that is what brings it to life and gives it depth and character. Right now, it kind of looks like a moon, like moon craters. Maybe I need to use some spray foam and try to make a moon shape and try to add some lights to it and have a moon in my sky on my ceiling. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Okay, now it's starting to look like, I don't know, chocolate milk, chocolate candy bar. But yeah, this is what we have right now. And see, you can still see the hazelnut in there. Now we're going to use a lighter brown. This is called mushroom. And we're just going to like dry brush it. So tap your brush in the paint, tap it on a towel, and then just lightly go over the entire project, okay? And everything that I'm painting on here, I'm also painting on the lady's face. I'm really not sure how I'm going to do her face yet, but I decided to add some paint to her as I went along just so she didn't stand out as a stark white. Okay, so here is how it looks after adding the mushroom. Still giving me moon vibes. Now we're going to add some raw umber. It's just another darker brown, okay? And I started out by adding it just to the edges, but I did end up getting a little heavy-handed with it because I felt it gave it the ancient vibes that I'm going for. I kind of want this to be like an ancient, mysterious, mythical oak tree, okay? So that's kind of the vibes I'm going for here. So I wanted to show you before the raw umber color. So that's what it looked like before. And then here is what it looks like after adding it. It gives it more of an ancient vibe, more kind of like a fossil look, and it really picks up on the details and the texture. Still kind of giving moon crater vibes, but, or boulders, but it's looking really cool. Now, here, just to sort of give you a view of how I'm trying to do this painting in here, you know, a van is not a lot of space for doing work like this, especially when you're trying to film the process. So I apologize if I don't get everything filmed, or maybe my filming isn't the greatest, but it's kind of a chore, and that's what I look like while I'm trying to work because I got a fan blowing back there, and it's not very attractive. But yeah, there's me in all of my painting glory, and yeah, painting a tree. Okay, we're getting dark chocolate vibes now. We've got the raw umber over the entire tree, and I think it's looking very mysterious. I don't know that my shelves match inside there now, but we'll worry about that later. We're going to add some mossy colors. I'm going to start with this olive green and a little spongy brush, and later I'll add some of these colors to highlight the moss. But for now, I'm just going to look around, and anywhere that I want moss, I'm going to add this olive green. And there we have it. It you're not going to see it very well until I get the highlight colors on there. And I may have added too much moss, but can you really have too much moss? I don't think so. I'm a moss lover, so I end up having a little bit more moss than I do brown bark, but that's okay. Now we're going to add some of this sap green with the spongy brush just over the tips of everywhere that I added the olive green, just to sort of make it pop a little more. And yeah, now I'm going to add the mossy meadow. I was going to use the spongy brush, but then I quickly changed my mind, and we're going to use a little brush, and we're going to dry brush. It just worked a lot better. I could get in there and I could really touch on all of the texture, and I'll show you a close up here. I'll try to focus. But do you see how by using the dry brush, it really just, the paint just sticks to the raised edges, the texture pieces, and it really brings out the details. Some of the details we lost by adding the darker colors. So I'm just going to do this all over until I'm happy, and then I will show you the outcome. See the texture there? Very nice. Okay, so we're almost finished, and yes, it doesn't look like a real live natural tree, but I made it out of spray foam in a van, so I think it's looking quite nice. It's very mythical, and that's kind of what I'm going for, a mythical forest. And yeah, let me know, what do you think? This is like moon meets boulder meets tree. Okay, that's all of the vibes I'm getting from here. I could probably add some blue down some of those crevices and have a little waterfall coming out of the top of my tree. It'd blend quite nicely. But I just want to show you all the detail. And you see how all of the colors really stand on their own. And if I hadn't added all of the layers of color, it just wouldn't look as nicely as I think it looks. And hello to my finger there. Sorry, guys. Oh, anyhow, let me know in the comments. We're going to add 2 more colors just to bring some warmth to the tree. I need to fix around her neck there. I do plan on doing that. But yeah, there is my tree. How do you like it? Okay, so we're going to add a little bit of burnt sienna and a little bit of cinnamon. And I'm just going to kind of add it to the edges, okay? Like I haven't added it here, but I have added it there. And again, we're going to pick up some of the detail that we lost along the way. See, just like that. Barely any paint on the brush. And this is just going to bring some warmth back to the tree after adding all of the greens. And yeah, just like that right there. So I'm going to do this all over, and then I will take the cinnamon and just put it in some spots to kind of give it the sun-kissed look. But do you see there how all of the texture comes back to life? Okay, so this is where I'm stopping on the tree for now. I went ahead and added that golden cinnamon color in certain spots, mostly over the mossy areas, just to give it some warmth, I guess, just to add some more color to it. I do plan on adding some natural elements to this. I will possibly add some dried moss over the mossy areas to give it a dimensional look. I might add some bark in there. I might make some clay mushrooms, maybe a little bird's nest, some little critters. Might get a squirrel in there. Who knows? This is just the starting point, and I will build from this base. But even though it looks like boulders or a moon, I'm still happy with the process. I think it's going to look great in the end, especially when I get the ceiling done and the vines and the lights. It's really going to be like an enchanted forest inside the van. Okay, so yeah, where were we? Now, for this, it's a little hot mess right now, but I have plans to put a sink here. And I've got, let's see if we can climb back here. You see all of this floor space back there? That will be some water storage for my sink. Now, here's where I'm thinking my toilet is going to go. And I have a really cool idea with the hula hoop for privacy here. That will be in a future video. I do plan on building a wooden box that goes over. The lid will be on a hinge so I can take it in and out. And when it's not in use, it won't look like a toilet. So that's good. Yeah, so it probably wasn't time to start painting or adding my branches, but I get bored of not seeing noticeable progress. And I just felt like painting. So yeah, we started painting a tree here. So yeah, I'm aware that these look more like boulders than a tree, but I was working with spray foam and I've never done this before. But once I get completely done, I'm not done with her face. I just don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. It's going to look cool, all right? It doesn't have to look like a real live tree. It's a mythical tree, okay? I mean, a forest inside of a van is all mythical. So my trees can look a little different than your everyday trees. They're mythical trees. I like it, and I think it's pretty cool, and that's what matters. Now, look, there's another pesky ant. These carpenter ants are everywhere. Now, I've started filling this in, and I'll carve it down smooth when I'm done. Let's spin around here so I can try to show you the ceiling. Okay, so I've zoomed this out, so if it looks a little distorted, that's why. It's kind of hard to film in a van, especially hard to film me actually working in a van because, you know, the space is limited. But what I've done is I've cut down pool noodles in half and taped them up, and then I used the hot glue gun and attached them as you've seen in other footage. And then I'm adding foam clay, okay? Foam clay. It's $2.99 at Hobby Lobby, but I go when it's 40% off, and it's basically like buying one and getting one free, almost. Well, yeah. Anyways, so it's really cheap. I've bought a lot because I plan on covering the entire ceiling in the foam clay, okay? And I'm using foam clay because it's flexible, even after it dries. Look at here. Can you see this? Watch. It's flexible. It literally dries into foam, okay? Like cosplay foam. I hate when I start saying so much. Anyhow, yeah. So the ceiling's gonna get painted like a sky, and then these are branches. And when I'm done with these, I plan to buy vines, like faux floral vines, with leaves or what have you on them, and then weave some fairy lights in them so that these will be fuller and actually look like branches. Because right now it just stops and you got branches coming out, and yeah, so that looks funny. But when the vines get on there and everything, it'll look better. And again, it's mythical. It's not a real tree, so yeah. But it's gonna look good in the end. I think it will. And yeah, so that's what we've done so far. Now hang on. Here I spray foamed under the window in that spot. And I was gonna trim it off, but I was like, just leave it and I will paint it like a vine eventually. So, and I thought about the same thing back here, okay? I was gonna trim that off, but I was like, nah, just leave it, let it cure, and then I'll paint it like a vine. So it's just gonna look like there's vines all through the van, and it's kind of like a tree house, all right? Because those are gonna get covered in foam clay and they're gonna be painted like vines. So yeah, and I even let the spray foam go back into this pocket, and yeah, and then I'll probably put a pool noodle up here and maybe across the front a half a noodle, and then that'll be a little pocket for some storage. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I've done. Each week it might not seem like I get a lot done, but what I'm doing is a lot of work. For example, just the cure times and the dry times on the paint and the dry times on the clay. So I try to get one done, and while that's curing, I try to start on something else. And then while that's curing, I start painting. and then so on and so on. So there you have it, sports fans. All right, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Also, I'm thinking about sometimes having a video in the middle of the week. Maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I'm undecided right now because I am ordering things for the van. I am ordering things to film with, a gimbal, a camera, and some of these, a lot of these items are going to be coming from Temu, because I like to not spend a lot of money. And I thought it might be nice to review the products that I'm ordering from Temu and let you guys know if it's worth the purchase or not. So if I have any type of product review, all will be in relation to the van and to the channel. I'm not going to review random stuff. It's literally stuff that I am buying or receiving for the van and for the channel. So yeah, if I have a review, that'll be through the week sometime. And when I get the first one completed, I'll decide on a date. That way it'll be a schedule. For example, this video, my construction video, it posts every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So when I do a review, it'll be every whatever day I choose at a certain time. That way it's just easier for you to keep up when I'm going to be posting and whatnot. And all right, so I guess that's it. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of y'all, and I hope you have a great week.